Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about the release of Daggerheart and my purchase journey. And so before we go a step further, I want to make this super clear that excuse me. I want to make this super clear that we are talking about the release of Daggerheart and the quality of the release, which is separate from the quality of Daggerheart, the game, or the role-playing experience. Separate than the product. The product. I don't know if it's appropriate to call it a game. We're talking about the tabletop, the TTRPG. Daggerheart is separate than its release. We're just talking about its release. So I want to talk about my purchase journey. So this is a report on 72 hours of attempting to get Daggerheart as a physical product, which I was not able to do in anywhere in the Philadelphia area. Okay. All right. I checked 7 stores. Okay. I checked one. I called and physically went to one shop that had access to 3 shops. It's the one owner. And so when I asked them, they checked their inventory for all their shops. This was my secondary FLGS. They had never heard of it, and did not have it in stock, and did not have a day when they would receive it, and had not even ordered it. Okay. Also, my primary FLGS, never heard of it. They actually went in the system and said, you're right, today is the release date for May 20th. That is correct. It is clearly noted here. And the distributor has the amount of units called pre-order, right? Which meant that even the distributor had it cocked up, right? And they had 0 copies. I called Philadelphia Game Shop. They said, yes, we have it. I said, excellent. And he said, we have 2 in the back. And then he's like, oh, hold on. Somebody else comes up. Yes, we have 2 in the back, and both are reserved. Philadelphia Game Shop had them. They were not for sale. They were already sold. Okay. Called Runehammer Game Shop. They were closed on a Tuesday. Okay. I could not physically get this book. I called Barnes and Nobles. They said, we will have it on June 3rd. Now, this is all on May 20th, the release day, okay? It was not possible to purchase this in the Philadelphia area for me, right? This caused a huge amount of agitation and frustration and anxiety. It caused me genuine anxiety, okay? Because I really wanted this, all right? So about halfway through the release, about 2/3 of the way through the release day, I was on D&D Beyond, and then and I saw an advertisement for a product that was only digital, and I was like, wait a second. And then I remembered Roll20 and Demiplane, right? Now I had a friend. Now I got into Marvel Multiverse RPG, and my friend bought Marvel Multiverse in every possible format. He bought it physically in print. He bought it on Demiplane, and he bought it on Roll20. Both those services, if you have an account, somebody can start a game and then share the rules with you, which I was able to see it on both. Demiplane was way better, right? So I purchased Daggerheart on Demiplane. So I have access to Daggerheart. However, I was not able to buy the physical product, and now that I've spent $35 buying the electronic product, I have no desire to own the physical product because I feel like I'm getting rooked. And I also feel like I was forced to buy the electronic copy, and then the moment I bought the electronic copy, I was frustrated with Darrington Press, did not like their rollout, and no longer have a desire to own the physical book, right? Not at retail. I would buy it for $1. I don't know how I'll get that price, but if somebody offered to me, I'd buy it for $1, right? So I'm extremely frustrated by it. So a day that was supposed to be celebration turned into frustration, agitation, and anxiety. What's the big deal? Why are we even talking about this, Scott? Well, here's the thing. Critical Role is real. They have millions of fans. and they did Daggerheart as a D&D killer. There was a actual possibility this was going to be a D&D killer, right? But in order to do that, you got to put on your big girl pants and you got to act like a real company. And Critical Role couldn't do that. They could not do a global release. They could not deliver on their release date. They early released in Australia, failed to release on their actual U.S. release date, and were not able to get the physical books in hands on the day they told people it would be there. The reason why this is important is Hasbro is real. D&D is real. They will have their book. They have their books on the release date, on time, and they have them everywhere in the FLGS, in Barnes & Noble, and beyond. They have them on shelves at Target, Walmart, independent bookstores, and people know what those products are, okay? Critical Role failed their release. They failed in the release of Daggerheart, and I think it's worth noting this. And the reason why is trust and believe. If D&D makes one problem on their release date, you're going to hear it, right? And I think it, hey, fair's fair, right? You came for the king, you best not. You come for the king, you best not miss. They came for the king, and they showed that they are a weekend garage energy hacks. This was not professional. This was not a professional release. This was the same OSR indie nonsense you would get from two guys just, putting together stuff in their garage, which is what Dungeons and Dragons was in 1970. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. They had a real money guy, right? And Critical Role has no excuse. They have absolutely no excuse for this. They could have got real money people. They could have got real business people. They could have outsourced this to people who know how to release product, right? And they didn't. Travis Willingham pretended, continued to pretend to be a CEO and that he could do business, right? But he can't. They broke a promise and they caused a lot of people anxiety. And I think it's worth noting because, man, oh man, do people notice whenever Hasbro makes a mistake. And it was more than a mistake. It was a broken promise, in my humble opinion. And I don't like how I had to purchase the product. With all that said, I'm going to tell you something I don't want to tell you, but I have to. The electronic purchase worked out really well. The text is selectable, and I have an app on my phone which will read the text. So I'm actually listening to the book read to me right now, which is really fantastic. I have to admit that's really nice. I would not have gotten that with the physical product. And in addition to that, with the cards, right, there was a good chance I was just going to get the physical book, and then I wouldn't have gotten the cards, right? With the Demiplane, I also got the cards, which was really, really nice. And Demiplane did a fantastic job with it. I hate telling you that, but I actually think the electronic purchase, which I was forced to do and did not want to do, actually worked out way better than if I had been able to get the physical product. But I wanted the physical product, and now also the purchase of the physical product is ruined for me. If I ever pay a dime for this in physical product, I will be vexed with Darrington Press. That is my complete purchase journey, and I appreciate you letting me share it with you. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.